Said. Right, well, welcome everybody. We are a small but quorate group, and hopefully we'll have one or two others to join us. Apologies, Ian.
No apologies from any of the councillors, only the court.
But from both Ed and Chris. Right, I think we have to record those as well because
They don't go on the minutes. It's only the councillors go on the minutes.
I didn't notice that. Right, but they are noticed. They're not even going to be in attendance. Oh, that's a shame. Yes, they are. Co-opted members present.
They're on the agendas, but they're not. If they attend, they're listed as members of the public would be. But it's only councillors we show apologies for.
Yeah. Right. Has anybody got any declarations of interest? I'm hating it all down.
Oh, I have.
I'm hating it all down.
Get rid of that chair. There we go.
Probably have, Chair, for the Westmoss Hedge Lane work, because I'll be putting some funding from City Council, because therefore.
Okay, so have you noted that, Ian?
We have personal interest, so I would like to put some interest in that as well.
Because you're actually giving money rather than.
Oh, yes, I'm giving it, but it's a joint.
Yes,
I just thought I'd mention.
Okay, right, minutes. Has everybody had a chance to have a quick look at the minutes?
Particularly on those that.
I say it all looked okay to me.
To me.
So we've got the actions. Okay, so everybody happy with those?
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Tick those off. Right, okay, if we can come to actions, Ian, if you want to talk a bit through them.
Start with number 31.
You always start with number 31.
Which goes back to 2023.
Before Ash was born.
So this one relates to picnic benches, wood carvings, etc. And I sent an email out to Kerry and Fern Sarah and copied you and Carrie on the 12th of June.
That's right.
See any update?
Okay. Oh. I sent an email to John Hopkins probably straight after the last meeting. I didn't hear anything back until today, where you could almost see him scratching his head on the phone. He said, they're not at Worthy Farm. He said, are you sure they're picnic benches? Home Farm.
Yeah, it's a Worthy Farm.
So they're not at Home Farm. Or we're in trouble. But they're not at Home Farm.
Oh.
But he had heard that they might be in the Quarry car park.
Oh.
But he had no real idea. So I put it on the WhatsApp group for councillors.
He had an idea, but he had no real proof.
Okay.
Okay.
They came back with contact. 1 second. Forget that. David Hughes, who I contacted, sent he phoned me just before the meeting,
Okay.
saying, trying first of all to say that they weren't moved by the council, they were moved by somebody else, and the council said no. I was
Not other benches.
That's because I mentioned they were near the Mermaid, and he said, "Oh no, those look nice." And then Phil quickly stepped in and said, "No." Oh, he was talking about Ennemont, wasn't he?
Yes, he was talking about Network Gardens. I corrected and said, no, sorry, we're talking about the ones that were.
So far, they haven't been found, but he is going to look again and let me know. I did tell him that we did pay good money for these.
Yeah.
We made because Sarah opened the phone call up to myself as well. We made clear that these are the wooden benches that were purchased, used, and
Recycled plastic.
They were
Things. They're all recycled plastic, and they have a little.
I'll send an email because Phil was
this
insistent.
That's my apologies, because I was under the impression they were wood ones that be used as the skate park.
No,
Yeah, because the ones that were the ones that were added at the time of the skate park. They weren't ones that
they
you.
weren't the original purchases. Okay, so there is some
Just an update.
potential progress. At least there's somewhere on somebody's radar within the council, they have been activated.
Get back to David Hughes to say they were plastics.
So the Keatons are chasing it down, even though we are causing as much confusion in our progress.
So on 71 is sign postage for Norton Nature Reserve, etc. And Rob Hernando's liaising with Sean Hathaway. There's no update since the last meeting on that, I'm aware of, Carrie?
No, and it's linked in with 79, aren't we? We're kind of
Yeah.
putting the two together, and Rob certainly hasn't come back to me. Further update on that.
Number 80 is closed, just for your reference. 88, I did email Chris in relation to the skate park. And again, he confirmed he'd let me know when they have further information, but nothing with that really.
Again, we have an update on that.
Yes, because you were hoping to arrange a site visit.
Sarah chased the possibility and copied Chris in to bring Chris into the fold. Chris was then able to confirm with highways and parks maintenance what had been discussed and previously agreed, and the city and county have confirmed, and we will forward that string of emails across. Sarah read them out to me, and I can see that she's busy on the phone at the moment. But in principle, they have no objection to a similar fence and hedge being extended from the existing hedge and fence at the skate park along in front of number 14, whatever it is.
The house at the end, yeah.
It would need to be set back from the road far enough for the city and county of Swansea vehicles to be able to maintain the verge.
Right.
As there are a number of trees actually right next to the curbside.
Makes sense.
It would make sense to, but it might also make sense to set it back far enough so that a small cutting vehicle could actually go around the inside of the trees, as it were, rather than just.
No, that's true. Yes, I was thinking first slot it in with the trees, but you're right. If we set it behind, then it also kind of passes the responsibility for the trees back to Swansea Council, because it would be kind of outside our perimeter.
And they're not happy with that.
But again, they are.
Particularly it is our land.
Yeah, but they haven't mentioned the trees themselves, Sarah.
Don't mention the trees.
So it's about access for them to maintain the verge. Should the as and when the site returns to their.
Okay, so probably it would make sense, if possible, to just meet with them and walk along and say, where would you think that we should put the fence? And then if there's any comeback, we can say, well, that's where you told us.
I think that would be it would be given the parameters that we've been given in the email, it would be the ball is now back in our court where we put the fence, and then.
Okay, but I would just think to cut through that string of emails, if you could walk it with the relevant officer.
I think if we said we wanted the fence to carry on the same line.
Yeah, I mean, that seems
straight along.
logical,
Yes.
that it's just is a seamless continuation.
Has to do.
And I think we did measure it, didn't we?
There was a little while ago, yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think we might measure the other side of that. That's the side I measured, so the prompt side rather than the side. But it wouldn't be far off anything like that.
I'm just thinking in terms of, this is obviously an action for Ian to take forward, that we could perhaps look at getting a quote for how much that fencing would cost, and if we've got a rough idea.
Material first before I, because
I
Getting the quote.
It's worth getting the quote and finding out how much it would cost us to have it put in,
Yeah.
then present them with it.
okay.
Because they love that, because it's like, look, the work's just agreed.
Who would you like that to get that?
That probably it would be something that Rob maybe, or Paul. I mean,
Paul would be the best.
and perhaps, I don't know whether, who put in the other fence, Maverick?
Did they, or was it?
Or was it us?
It might
But
be.
somewhere Paul probably has the company that provided us with the quote for the existing fence, so that would be a good starting point to.
So if you haven't been, I'll put if the RFO obtains a quote at the skate park hedge area and details can be obtained from Sarah, would that be?
Yes.
Yes.
Rough estimate of the- yeah, well, yeah, we've got it properly.
On the North Beam, because as a councillor for West Cross, it looks a bit more
Yeah.
aggressive.
No, it should be, if you could just say to liaise, continue to liaise with Chris and Ash.
Yeah, I'll send Chris,
Yeah, and I'm sure Chris will be delighted that that we've made some progress.
Good.
But that's good, and then once we got the fencing, we can then look at being able to sort of have a similar hedge to the one that's there, but perhaps
Bristly on that,
we know something slightly more
entertaining.
entertaining, yeah. But as long as it kind of is kept at that sort of height,
Yeah,
and then we can have more wonderful hedge laying workshops.
Good.
these are to no end.
Right. That's moving on. Chair number 91 is closed. 92 has been deferred to November.
Yeah,
That's the
Sorry, in number 91, I know we talked about closing it last time.
we did close it.
We did close it last time. Do we actually have the leaflets in the office now to distribute?
I'm assuming so.
Are they the flower ones?
Bee friendly
No,
streets?
this is the Bee Friendly Street.
I have emailed Kerry before the meeting just to ask, but obviously I won't get it.
Saw them earlier. I think. Yeah.
So,
So that's that one. So number 93. That was
it's on the agenda, so we can deal with that then.
99 is closed. 100 is closed.
She is here and will report.
101 in relation to the grass.
What?
yes. So,
So how is our, the other seed has arrived?
yeah, the seed, well, some of the seed has arrived. I was just checking out. So originally I sent the first email in on May the 1st about sort of ordering the seeds and stuff. And they arrived last week.
Oh, God, right.
So there has been a bit of a delay, and the seeds that I originally wanted, they were out of stock, which
Oh, no.
offered a sort of like a bigger variety of flowers. And so then Paul got back to me and said, these aren't available anymore. So I went back, ordered another set, which is like a smaller variety of flowers from the same company. So it's same sort of annual sort of like wildflower mix, the bog standard ones, but without any of the cool stuff in it. So I put an order in as well for different seeds from different
So that you
companies.
could supplement.
Yeah, chuck them all in. Just chuck.
Yes.
But then when Paul had the email, because I think their time had gone by, or whatever, the baskets were empty. So then he was like, "Oh, the baskets are empty." So I was gonna contact Helen, because the problem is we haven't done any prep work on the ground yet. We haven't sowed any seed yet, and like I know Swansea Council only done theirs like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Well, my concern is anyway that you could probably sow that seed now and you're going to get something, but you're gonna have a later summer display, so it might not be as
Do we say, well, now as we haven't seed,
well. I was going to like,
so whether we leave it to next year?
yeah, because it's Yeah, no, it's because it's like Helen's like ward this year, and she's been sort of the one interacting with me. I was just gonna like shoot her an email or phone
Yeah.
or like message or whatever, say, look, we've got this much left
Yeah.
still of the
Yeah.
budget. Would you prefer like to just chuck it down now and see what happens? Or we can just use more of that budget, get more seats, so when next year comes,
We do a start earlier.
yeah, because it is partly my fault. Like during April, I had loads of holidays to take.
Yeah.
I took all like.
Well, yeah, of course, because you were trying to finish off the year, yeah.
And then Jubilee was
Yes, of course.
sort of like finishing as well. So everything was a bit slow on my side then as well. And then obviously,
Projects to finish as well.
yeah, and then it said like,
Usually it was a tight deadline.
yeah, it said just check the emails now, and it's taken a while for the actual seed to get here.
Yes.
And like what I don't want to do is half-ass something.
I agree.
Stop selling them because they, especially wildflower seed, they go off very quickly. So you've got to have it fresh.
Oh dear, so they wouldn't keep till next year?
No.
Oh,
Not necessarily, not unless they were kept in exactly the right conditions. Or,
I can check it because we've got it now, and it does say on the bag like the sort of expiry date and stuff like that.
Till daily carting.
the expiry date's on the back of the bag, so we should be able to work.
Like
with that.
I think it was kept in the.
Go with them.
Yeah, as I said, we've only spent £500 of that budget so far anyway. I think it's like 2,000. But again, like there was a budget. There was a,
There.
I was just going to say it might be worth splitting the batch, as it were, planting some, seeing how they do,
Yeah.
and then also planting some late season to see if they actually remain dormant and see what comes up the fall.
yeah.
Pragmatic solution at this
Yeah.
stage.
So at least then we'll have used half of the amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, then if we've got the conditions in the in Northern Nature Reserve to actually keep those seeds relatively dormant.
Or they could be in the shed up here,
Or shut.
Yeah.
nice and dark.
Even on the hot days, I'd say the container in Norton is still really cold. Like,
The shade.
yeah, it doesn't get.
It's not in full sun.
Yeah, if I go for a break, I go in there because it's cold.
Yes, you can have nice.
So, but what I'll do is I'll fire these suggestions over to Helen. And then ultimately, like, you know, like
Yeah.
I'll say what I think, and then she wants, like, what Phil's going to do a bit now and then a bit later on. Because I think, like, she'll get way more bang for her buck next year.
Yes.
So
yeah, just throw it over to her and see whether she prefers to have something this year. And we're just looking at annuals. We haven't put any, we're not looking at putting.
Well, again, this is like I wanted to do because I'm not sure how much the budget is. I've sent emails back and forth to Paul and Rob, and I'm sure it's like 2,000.
Not right now, but I can tell you. And it's about £600, I think.
It's not what I got told. Because like Rob, I think Rob was told something. I was told something. And then we were like, I asked them, no, it's not that. And they were like, that's for the bulbs. And then Kerry had said, no, that's separate to grass verges. So there was two separate pots. So they weren't entwined, which I thought, or I was told originally that they were.
They could
Then
be.
we-
It doesn't accept.
We did talk about,
Okay, according to the Environmental Committee Budget Monitoring Report
oh yes, of course, you've got it there. I'm trying to,
to the end of March this year.
yes, which is what we're talking about. We're talking about.
The end of March. The bulbs and wildflower planting budget remaining at that point was 1,100. Sorry, was £111.
Yeah.
Last year we spent 1,089. So if there was still 2,000 in the budget, or 1,200 in the budget, sorry, this year, then there would now be 1,311.
Yeah, but this year is a different, that was, we were looking at last year.
Looking at the grass verge scheme,
That's the grass.
Yeah, that's the one.
there was £2,100 in
Okay.
unused from last year.
That's okay then.
So I'd assume that would also roll over. So
Yeah. So that's what I was told then.
Yeah, I think we were usually costing out for turf. So obviously, which is a lot more expensive
Yeah, well,
than seeding.
this is what I said, we were talking about sort of just annuals. I was like, oh, maybe we can get other plants.
Well, I think by you get things like foxgloves.
That's, yeah, that's, you know, like in fact stuff that like they maybe like Celtic wildflowers, that was already in the second year.
Yeah.
So we can just like,
I would strongly suggest that we get the further seeds that we buy are at least biannual, if not perennial,
I think,
so that we can
yeah, I think the problem,
maximise the money.
yeah, I totally agree. But I think if you were to get like a mix of like some annual, some biannual, like again, it's the same as Swansea Council, they just have the annuals because it's that instant hit of colour.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, wow, look at that. Whereas like wildflowers in general, it's, you know,
Yeah.
slow gardening.
Yes, they do have perennials in that.
They do,
But
because
because
they self-seed as
they
well.
spray them.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
So they do have.
When they were left
We have
and not sprayed, they came up the following
I
year.
was going to say, what we have last now coming up in those bits that we haven't done anything with yet, we've got Sweet Williams.
Yeah.
We've got, what else have we got? We've got a few different.
See those things up through.
There are all sorts of things coming up.
Because they're the biannuals.
Yeah.
The problem with the perennial world they can be thugs.
But yeah, they're invasive.
Yeah.
Mm. But definitely, I think we need to be looking at, you know, if we're investing that amount of money, something that hopefully will self-seed and come back.
Yeah, well, as I said, like we're not gonna spray like Swansea Council.
Because we be spraying, so there's going to be no risk of it getting killed off.
Yeah, and as I said, Rob and I have talked briefly as well about,
Yeah.
we've got the sort of annual mixes, which I think they have a place because like.
Yeah.
More personally.
Yeah.
Season for the bees come June, and those flowers
Perfect.
will be great.
That means the last thing. Yeah.
So it's actually, I see it as a positive.
Other, like we went to some like different sites with Helen to like discuss.
Yeah.
Could possibly go, but I think as well as if we leave the plant until September time, the annuals obviously have their place, but if we're talking about sort of like, you know, increasing biodiversity and stuff like that, we could have sort of like a meadow mix. So
Yeah.
there's you know, there's grasses and the flowers in there. Then doesn't look as good to the eye, and it doesn't look, you know, as good as it can be for several years. But if we're talking about sort of like this succession of sort of like using the money well, and
Do in the first couple of years when they're still, we can always throw in a few annuals just to
yeah,
give a bit of a buzz each year and just chuck a bit in and brighten it up.
It's part plug planting them in, they'll probably be okay. Just with the wild, some will take, unlikely, a lot of them won't. So you'll end up with a lot of one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I found that with even those ones you get for the garden, yeah, there's always one that shoots up and you.
That's why it's so popular, is because they are bred to just be
Tough.
and to show that pop of colour and last for long.
Right, so as this is Ash's action is to liaise with Helen, I take it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving.
3 is completed on the 2nd of June.
Yes,
I
because
think
the
it-
kits are,
Yeah, so that can be marked up. And the last 2 were just for your reference, they're both completed in June as well.
Yeah.
For one of the projects. It's the
and I were at the Gower National Landscape Advisory Group yesterday, and we did report to them. We were going to be doing some water quality testing
right.
to supplement the work that they do and the project that Tonia's got on the beaches, that we will be looking at further upstream, and so that was noted.
Yes.
So that's good.
So number 5, the environment.
So there's no report this month, Jane?
Right, but could you just give us a quick kind of what you've been doing really for the last, you know,
You're Rob.
what's going on?
You're Rob.
You.
I was gonna say, I get Roxy doing.
From here,
Yeah.
so it's nice to just get a catch up from you on
You-
how things are going.
It's probably not as exciting as Rob because I get to do the same things all the time. I sort of like on a rotation. I don't know if you have noticed though. I've done some planters at the front of the Osprey. So that's new.
It's been busy, but
No, I actually I've never played around with sort of ornamentals or nothing like that, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Like to it was limited variety in cash hardware, but they look solid.
Yes.
But literally apart from that, just normal stuff.
Responsibilities throughout the week rotate between.
All different sites. Yeah,
How's the rain garden doing down in the
It's really good.
park?
yeah. Well, the down the skate park. Honestly, I haven't been down there since before April.
not in the rotation.
Yeah, oh, I tell you what, it is. I said since sort of like Jubilee, everything's been a bit mismatched. Yeah, because we were talking about doing a volunteer day. I mentioned to Phil as well about they've got the park benches down there. Because I fixed one or two of them, and they could really do with like sort of like a volunteer day where they'd be like a suggestion anyway, just like painting them up and stuff like. So there's like the wooden ones down in the they look battered,
They
like
do. Unused already. Yeah.
not so much like with people like graffiti on them or anything like that. They just look old and a bit weathered. And I've seen summer now, kids are down there all the time using them.
Yeah.
Nice if they can.
With that, we have
Slash that you perhaps do a regular one to the skate park because there's so many moving things going on there between them just spraying the place and other things like you said, the benches and stuff. Could you have a quick look around every so often?
Oh yeah. Down there.
But
Yeah, I pop down there on like a Monday anyway to just check the water fountain and stuff like that.
Since
Oh yeah, just not like sort of doing a bit of the rain garden like. But yeah, check the benches and stuff like that. Make sure there's not be stuff broken and. So they arranged anything with the graffiti yet? Do you know? Or?
No idea.
It sits under the community.
so I hope they.
It's in Hampshire.
Lovely, thanks.
Sorry.
That'll come round through.
Going to clear it up soon.
Well, that's up to Community and Social. You can put that to the chair of Community and Social.
Also, in regards to Milton as well, like I don't know whether this can be like a sort of volunteer day in the future, but I am dying. Like it's killed me ever since I've started work here. Is that pond?
Oh, yeah.
It's been to me anyway. It's been done with so little effort, but even with like no effort that in my opinion has gone into it, there's still life in there. It's just really good that I'm thinking how much more we can like facilitate nature if we do a really good job on that.
Well,
So like I think Carrie said, there's a really makeshift fence around it.
which needs to be much safer because we do have to make sure that kids can't get in.
Yeah, Carrie said like there needs to be something around there. So
But then wouldn't get to.
well,
That pond, she makes it literally, as soon as you go near it, and she just lies down.
yeah.
God knows what damage she does while she's still lying.
But then it seems to be fun.
I think he does as well. She plays
Yeah.
and then runs.
So yeah, we do need a fence around it, so just stop dogs and everything else getting.
So we need to make it sort of like accessible to wildlife, whether that's hedgehogs, foxes,
Yeah.
whatever. But I think the main concern is like kids and stuff, especially with more effort going in there now in terms of like the raised beds and sort of things like that. Can't like if you're 10 volunteers there, you can't have eyes in the back of them.
So I would suggest an action point that we look at, if you and Rob between you could kind of cost that roughly how much you think it would be, and we can look and see if there's anything in the budget that we could,
Yeah.
use, because we get, there's a small amount for Norton Nature Reserve, and it may be that we can, nick a little bit from here and there.
So that's like, there's like, in terms of my budget, I got pretty much all the tools I need now, and even if I do one more, the Norton, the shed and the storage unit, I don't know, it's not big enough to get it. So there's a budget, my budget, Norton's budget.
Yeah.
It's only basically like, pond liner, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I say, if you want to put a proposal together, if you and Rob, between you, for like, maybe not next month, because Rob will only have just got back from his holiday, but maybe for like September, because it'd be something we could probably do over the
That would be a good time to do it then
Yeah.
as well, if you want to do any work.
Yeah, and we will have a look at then, we've got a proposal in front of us, we'll have a look at the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if we can put some money, and as you say, working on the basis that we'll have volunteers down as well.
I will just say at this point, the reason the pond is where it is, the reason the pond didn't move somewhere else, and the reason the pond is so difficult where it is because of the amount of hardcore underneath it.
Yeah, that's like, because I wanted, in an ideal world, I was going to see if it was okay with Carrie and Paul, is where the greenhouse is. On the left-hand side, there's like a bit of a bank, which you can't really do much with. But we're losing maybe like 6 feet of space.
It's an ancient wall.
There is, it's an ancient monument.
Where to?
It was just part of the old original. If you walk through the woods, that every now and then you will see just bits of stone wall.
Mm.
And it's from the original tides, I suppose, of the way the castle grounds were divided up between the farmers
That's in the back. That's in the back, is it?
As long as we don't.
it's that one that, where the slope up is with where we put Steve's tree.
Yes.
The bit at the side of that.
Oh, the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Not that bit now.
Oh,
So
you mean
yeah. So
where
as,
the edging is.
so just the bottom of that back is sort of like it goes, because even sort of like maintenance down
It's hard.
is it only the backside, because it goes like this. So I can't get the mower on there, and I can't use the strimmer on it either because of all the hogweed. So it's like hand tools and stuff. So my thought was because we've got like extra raised beds.
Extra raised beds.
So if we get a machine in, well, sort of like, a couple of like feet away from that, sort the bank out so it's actually like sort of like, like a gradient on it, like this manageable. And then we can push the existing raised beds then, which Rob talked about, at the back there in sort of like a,
You'll move them further back.
yeah, so then we've got that, all that space then for more raised
That
beds.
makes sense. Well, yeah, another action.
So if we can do that, and then if the pond was being dug at the same time.
Yeah.
Are you thinking perhaps, hiring a piece of equipment for a day or two then?
Yeah.
Just to scale.
Yeah.
Just for that, and you say to dig out the pond at the same time.
Well, it's under the West Cross, isn't it? Norton Nature Reserve.
It is.
And would you be
So
able to,
perhaps I could give a little bit towards it if it's
Yeah.
not too.
But we can have a look. Let's say if you do some costings.
Yeah, I think the machine's only like £70 a day or something. So
Yeah.
we got two.
and a little bit of training if you don't already?
What, they'll pay for training or?
Well, I don't.
Budget.
Yeah, she did send some.
So if you feel that
Yeah.
you benefit from some additional training. He's really keen on helping anyone,
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I'll send you an email.
Certainly, I know for private individuals who are doing their own projects and things, there is a company, I believe it's either Bridgend or Cowbridge or somewhere up there, that would do one of their training courses on
Okay.
everything from chainsaw use all the way through to, using a mini digger.
Yeah, I think they work quite often as well, don't they? So yeah, I'll send Carrie an email tomorrow.
Yeah.
That might be essential, because if there was an accident and you've had training.
Oh, God, yeah.
It could be insurance wise,
Yeah.
we're covered, aren't we?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So touching wood, as she's saying.
And How are the tennis courts and basketball courts? Are they being kept now reasonably?
As far as
I
I'm,
suppose now they're locked all the time.
yeah, the tennis courts are, like, I go there with the leaf blower.
Yeah.
That's about
Just
it,
to
really,
keep,
like,
yeah, keep them.
yeah,
And
very much so.
good.
Yeah, yeah, the tennis courts, it's a bit of a pain in the backside for me sometimes, because you'd be like, right, I'll go down there now.
Oh, and
You try and go down there early, people are playing, see like,
I suppose this time of year, that's it.
yeah, you don't want to disrupt people as well they play as well. So even if there's like one court empty, you blow in and they trying to play tennis, like, I mean, it's like, come back.
Which is a safe, don't they?
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, you have to pay on the tennis wheels app.
Yeah.
So they give you the code then to get in, basically. I don't touch the basketball court. Yeah, that's not been on my list of to do.
Should be.
Well,
Sorry.
it's like when I came into this job, Martin's notes were not to do the tennis courts. It was something like not. Well, I think that can't remember the full description. It was like not much to do down the tennis courts now. Like
Basketball court as well.
I don't know.
And also it needs.
From a seasoned professional eye,
Yeah.
when you do go
With
down,
basketball courts.
when
Yeah.
you really do go down there, is there anything that needs doing around basketball?
Apart from a new fence around it, like.
Oh, well, that has
And
been
itself, which is all structural. I mean,
If I was a basketball player, I wouldn't want to use it, put it that way.
Mm.
The surface is,
shot.
yeah, the fence is,
But it's all in hand, isn't it? Community.
No, because, anyway, this isn't really.
But no. But no, I will mention that to Kelly because it is our responsibility.
because like
We-
even with the tennis courts, though, there was like the ones down in, I think, Cumdonkin, tennis wheels maintain them courts. So there's no one comes down there with a leaf blower, like the Swansea Council, and then go in there.
Oh,
And then it's like, because I was actually talking to one of the guys who was doing the spraying,
yeah.
and he was, when I was down there, leaf blowing when they turned up, and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I work for Mumbles Council." He's like, "What, you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yes.
He's like, "What, tennis wheels don't do it?" And I was like, "No, I don't know."
Chase them up because they're charging people.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I honestly don't know. Like, I was told to leave.
To that, Ian, for Kerry to just get some clarification as to what the responsibilities of Tennis Wales are, because if they should be doing it, that time can usefully be spent on our basketball court, which is there.
Yeah,
That would be good.
Although, from what Ash says,
Doesn't seem to
it
be-
doesn't seem to need, he doesn't need to see, he can't really do the integral things.
Oh, surface that.
But it would release the time to perhaps
I
get some more fun projects.
say that it does come up to it in some ways because it's the suds that's holding it up because they've said it cost about 10,000 for the suds.
Right.
And I know that they're very.
So that's what the hold up is.
So that's the Welsh Government fee.
But just be helpful for us to just know, if there is particular, like you're going down and loads of rubbish is being chucked there. Or,
No, like I know there was issues with broken glass in the tennis courts, which I've only,
that's been sorted presumably.
yeah,
So they.
I've only seen once, but sometimes, like on the walkway. So you've got people there and they'll drop because you've got a small little area of like just nothingness and they just throw balls and stuff like that. So, because there's concrete sides on it, I'm guessing some of them smashing
So we
it.
get smashed.
And it's like, I don't know whether it's youngsters or what, or someone's accidentally dropped one, or who knows.
But it's just irresponsible, isn't it? Like anything, isn't it? Just that can't be bothered to.
There's always going to be a small percentage of people, whether they be young or who are doing recycling.
But I'm happy to just say to Kelly, is it all right if Ash, does give the basketball court a once over now and then, just to
I'll copy you into the email to Kate.
be good.
I think that's effectively, we've also done,
Hopefully, you won't have to do anything more to the tennis courts because tennis went.
Okay. Listen, that's not on our agenda anyway, tennis West.
Although I will say, I think
No, but it's on Ashes.
I think effectively we've also considered Ash's work plan, even though it says in the so
We've slipped it in.
climate emergency action update, Carrie.
Right, well, here we are, flood awareness and flood action plan. Could you put it up on the screen? Is that possible?
Let me see. Is that
It
the
should be in the,
folder? Collective plan.
no,
No, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong folder. Give me a second. Give me a second here. There we go. I'm in the wrong folder.
so are the raised beds coming for up here?
Yeah, there's ones at the timbers there in Norwood,
Excellent.
but we need to put and have the okay for a fence, because I think Rob wants to put it along the ledge, but there.
Yes, he does.
So like we need to put a fence around the outside sort
We should.
Yeah, so somebody doesn't think it's clever, yeah, to push it off the edge.
The only thing I'd say is like with here and seeing the raised beds that have been done, it's quite low. And it doesn't offer sort of like I don't know, everyone.
Sorry about that.
I mean, I don't know, I'm sure it's all been spent, but yes, I agree, I would like to see them higher,
Yeah, just
because they're more user friendly.
yeah,
Like even I could do it if they weren't so low.
I didn't like them, to be honest. I thought because to allow more people to use it.
Yeah,
And I said a lot of the volunteers we get as well. They're not spring chickens. So it'd be nice if they were. I don't know.
it's to look at what the cost would be of increasing the height. Particularly, I mean, at least if we have some that are higher, so people who do have mobility, we can say, you can come and help us with these. They are.
Yeah, as well.
Well, but there's going to be some up here as well, and also outside Jubilee.
So yeah. Again, like I seeing them, I probably think no.
Okay.
I think that like maybe we could spend money on actual sleepers and get them to a size where they're more user friendly for more people.
Okay, well, yeah. So we'll have to look at whether there's some way that we can get them, get a more.
Just need more timber, really.
Yeah.
Because I know
raise that height.
timber's expensive, but
It
and
is.
I hate half-assing doing stuff and like
Yeah, no,
being like, oh, this is, and then in 6 months' time, it's like, oh, we're going to change it.
But it's so flimsy, it's not going to last
Yeah.
long.
solid wood, but it's just that they're only this tight.
Isn't it?
Like all the locks
Well,
It's now on the screen.
Right, lovely. Right, okay, so this is I'm glad which Rob has done a brilliant job on. So we can just see, is there anything on it that people feel could be done as well or instead of, or the timing's not right? I mean, to me, it looks brilliant.
It's certainly going to give me something to do during August.
So yeah, I
Are they taking Jane, was it Jane?
Richmond, yeah.
Jane Richmond's words to heart, which is sort of meeting people at where they're at.
Yeah.
So although we're aware that there's an awful lot that we could do if we all had the money, the means, and the time, and everybody was on board. But actually, individually, people need to feel that they can do a little bit you know, themselves.
Absolutely.
And that, although it won't necessarily solve problems, there are ways of being able to help and aid.
Simply putting large water butts next to people's houses, so if you have a torrential.
Yeah, which is,
I know.
that's it, it's a simple solution, as you say.
Yeah.
That does help.
And then, you know, the mindfulness of being able to say, you know, do your butt, man. You know, water butt, sorry.
And just, you know, just showing people that instead of concreting the entire garden, if they just leave some little open areas around the edge, or even, you know, some little squares in the middle, huge difference it can make.
Even large terracotta plots
Yeah,
planted
just-
up, bits
yeah.
of plastic,
Just
bits
to
of pots.
right.
Takes longer to.
So it's all that
seems
kind of
small.
stuff, which is great.
That's,
So, yeah.
so yeah, that's been, you know, that's great to have a little plan.
Yeah,
And I'll certainly be volunteering to help Rob during August. If he wants to.
brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's all good. Have you had a chance to look at it?
Oh, what, no, sorry.
The floods,
No, I haven't, no.
flooding.
No, I haven't.
You're welcome to.
Thank you, sorry.
Still training, actually, Ash, you'd probably enjoy.
Training.
Yeah, I did actually speak to a gentleman who owns a company. He's one of the directors, and he lives in Swansea. His company does a lot of suds. That's what they do.
Yeah, of course you did the work on the rain garden. I mean, that was all sun stuff.
Yeah, small bit of it.
Little. But that's the key thing, because what that demonstrates is, you know, you only have a little garden, but you only need a little space in the corner, and you can do this, and it makes a huge difference.
Before I came to Melbourne Council, I was actually going to do a proposal to Swansea Council in regards to doing some like rainwater collection, you know, from the gutters, so a small like rain garden, so like a tiered system.
He's the very man. We've got you ready and waiting to have work on our workshop.
I just thought it was like, you know, good. Like, I can't remember the numbers now. The math was there, and it was like, like each roof like drops this many liters of rain over a course.
But in just one heavy rain.
As you say, it's like a mini rain garden that it feeds.
Yeah,
It just soaks away rather than pouring across and into.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent. So
Marvellous.
we don't need to make any recommendations from that. We've got the plan now.
we've got the plan, and we just say thank you very much to Rob, you know, for putting that together, and
Progressed in August, is that right, Chas?
and we could make a recommendation that you and Rob talk to Kerry about maybe getting some such training.
Again, it's just another
Yeah.
string to your bow. I did it. It was 10 days.
So yeah, I would say that
That's what I
Do you want that as a recommendation for council, just within?
just because, you know, to Kerry, because she's obviously responsible for, you know, training programs for Rob and Ash.
Yeah. I'll copy you in again to the email.
I mean, it may need to then go to finance and compliance for approval, but Kerry needs to okay it first. She might say, no, they're way too busy. No time for training. Send them away. Send them back to work.
Don't get the skate park.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
One take, Aaron.
Okay, Plastic Free July, right. The reason I put this on is because July is Plastic Free July. And a lot of the Environment Centre's been working on it, and Swansea Council. A lot of the stalls in Swansea Market are kind of taking it on board and are not using plastic containers. And I just thought, at least if we could put some sort of publicity out, maybe a leaflet to go into shops saying, Plastic Free July, how can you help to reduce, you know, the amount of plastic packaging that you're using?
Yeah.
And one of the things we can do is one of these de-packaging blitzes at a Co-op or Tesco or wherever.
Well, yes, we could pop into the Co-op or Tesco's
And just-
Marks and Spencer's and ask if we can do
Yeah.
that.
And I mean, they did it before with, I think it was Oystermouth Primary. Went down and did it at the Co-op.
I'm sure, I'll speak to Rebecca about potentially, whether or not we could get something like that at the Co-op in Westcroft.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nick's really supportive and he comes to Warm Hub, so he's easy to sit and have a chat with.
And again, what sort of groups of people would be happy to volunteer to do that?
I mean,
If managed to achieve that by the end of July.
time for us to try and get some more reusable cups.
Yeah, did they actually, because I'm cynic, I'll say that,
Do we need more?
Yeah, no, the coffee cups.
yeah.
I mean, even if we just give
Are
out,
they ceramic then, not made?
they're plastic. They're recycled.
Yeah,
They're reused from old
yeah.
coffee cups or whatever. That's the whole point of them.
Did you ever see from the coffee shops?
Yeah. I mean, most of them sold all the ones that they had. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just thinking, I just feel that we should at least make shops and businesses aware,
May I make?
see if there's some way we can encourage them to.
It does seem a bit dodgy on plastic-free July to be ordering more plastics, even if it's recycled plastics. It's just,
Well, you can order whatever sort you like, but if ceramics are no good, they'll break.
I was going to say, perhaps if this is a joint initiative currently being run by the city and the Environment Centre, would it be expedient to use our media to obviously promote any of the information that they're putting out?
For the Swansea City Centre, what we want to do is say we would like to do something similar in Mumbles.
And could we do that by using the information that they've already supplied?
Not, but we can get similar. We can have a look, but
couldn't we just suggest that people bring their coffee? Because a lot of people have their own coffee. It's July. It's plastic. How about remembering to bring your coffee?
yeah, and maybe we can see if Dore Cymru will give us some more free water bottles and give them out in.
Yeah.
And ask supermarkets if somebody's buying a plastic bottle of water to say, would you like one of these?
They've got no, it's empty.
So you're not going to persuade them to take an empty, but just to
No,
next time, you won't need to come and buy one of our expensive bottles of plastic water.
You'll have your own plastic bottle.
It's a shame that we're a little bit behind the loop on in terms of timescale. Yeah.
June, and we'd already had June's meeting.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we can get something, even if it's the last week of July.
I think just a reminder for people that it is plastic free and post from.
At least we can put something out on social media. If we can get some leaflets, we only need 100 leaflets to do just the shops and cafes.
To deal with this when he gets back, or
He's not coming back until mid-July.
just sort of coordinated all
Well,
that?
we do have a marketing officer, rumour has it.
Okay, yeah, that's a plus.
I was going to say, well, I mean, it'd be up to Kerry really, wouldn't it? So
Yeah. If Claire has the capacity to, and I can get hold of the publicity that they're using in Swansea and say, we want something like this that we can use in. There's places like the Pier, which are usually really good at kind of joining in with things. So we might be able to use them and they can have some photos with them with their, reusable cups or whatever.
Yeah.
I
just think I think so many people have those coffee cups in their house.
Yeah.
It's like there's an empty to the plastic.
Yeah, and maybe, we can persuade some of the coffee shops to say, oh, can you just give them like an extra 50p discount during July if they bring their own cup in? Yeah. Just something to just, as you say, get people into the habit of remembering to take their cup with them. Because I'm sure you're right. I'm sure most people have loads of them.
Don't you think they do that anyway?
I do, but
reusable to Costas and stuff. They knock off 30p.
extra like double discount for July,
Yeah.
you know, just to kind of raise awareness
I
again.
suppose unless they get reimbursed by someone, they're gonna be like, my problems are for that.
They might want to promote their coffee shop as being plastic free. Some do, some are quite good at,
I know we're drowning the water bottles that people leave at the community centre, and you're like, do you think anybody would take these? Yeah,
yeah, wash them out and give them out.
yeah.
Okay, so that was Plastic Free July. That was it on the agenda. And so I will try and get what the materials that they're using, and I'll pass them on.
Well, if I copy you in,
Yes,
okay,
I will speak to the Environment Centre. I'm going to be at the Environment Centre, but not until July, so. And I very helpfully managed to book to work at the shop the day of Ironman, which means all the roads will be shut and I won't be able to get there.
Oh, I thought there was a new Iron Man film out there. I was going, what's the end of that?
Ironman all over Swansea.
well, our own room.
So, not the problem.
Oh, you're doing it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Second one now.
oh. Oh, you should get us all to sponsor you.
Oh, no. Yeah. I've done charity runs before and stuff, and no.
So you're doing it for sheer hell of it,
Yeah, just for the pain. Yeah.
just for the pain.
For the sheer pain.
Yeah.
It's quite. Yes, you do.
So stupid. Yeah.
Right, to you, Westfield Hedge Lane Workshop.
So, my thanks to Sarah for, as the city councillor for West Cross, for pushing this forward with city before I brought it back to the group. But some time ago, I was one of the businesses on Alderwood Road asked me whether or not the section of hedge that runs between the bus stop and the exit to Alderwood Road near
Yes, where it was very overgrown.
West Cross Inn is whether that hedge could be cut back. And a couple of years back, I think Sarah made some inquiries with housing, as it's housing land, and it wasn't seen as a high priority at the time. However, this little smidget of information got tucked back into my brain because, of course, when a constituent or a business asks you, whether something can be done.
But anyway, let's cut to the meeting.
Yes.
So, I was fortunate enough to do a hedge laying course back in the winter down in Bishopswood, and it occurred to me that that's exactly what we needed to happen with this particular hedge. And thanks to a site meeting that Sarah organised, we have city and county on board, and potential
support from Andrew Stevens.
So
He's the cabinet member,
so
city council, so good person to have.
Catherine Thomas, who is
I couldn't remember her name.
who has been in charge of organising and gaining funding for the environmental projects over at Bishopswood, has said that this would be potentially an excellent project to do with a volunteering group, and as such could perhaps access some funding for this hedge to be professionally laid with the help of volunteers.
Yeah.
So it would be it would add to their offering, and we could obviously then piggyback onto their advertising for volunteers. And a professional hedge layer would come down, and over 6 days, 3 different groups of 12 people would offer a hedge laying course, and then proceeds to lay that hedge, which would mean that it wouldn't need to be particularly looked at for perhaps another 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So yes, so we are looking at funding. As I said, Catherine Thomas has said that she can access funding, but obviously it's usually, as with most funding things,
Match funding, yeah.
match funding or of some.
When would this be done?
February, probably.
February. So we're not looking for urgent money.
No.
No. It's time for some proper costings to be done so that you can come back with an exact amount needed that we can then put to full council.
However, Catherine, who has done these numerous occasions before, has given us a rough estimate of between £3,000 and £4,000
For the whole thing?
for the whole thing,
Okay.
and believes that she may be able to attain between 60 and 75% of the funding from.
So we can get 1,000 to 1,500.
I would say £1,000 to start with, but yes.
I think it would be good. Catherine's only got limited tools. I'd have to set up, but tools for actually, what do you call them?
Bill hooks.
Bull hooks.
Bill hooks.
Bill hooks. Not
Bill hooks.
Bill hooks to help. But then we'd have them if we did any more hedging.
Again, the problem is,
Where are we going to put them?
honestly, that I have no space in our shed.
Is there not potential for shelving to,
I put some up.
oh, it's still, we've used that up already?
It's yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
like the thing I have spoken to Rob about is on the side, if you're looking at the container we've got on the side, putting up a sort of very basic wooden lean-to, so we can put things like the wheelbarrows.
Things that aren't going to get nicked.
Yeah, chain them up and stuff like that, but underneath they're out of the way, so we've got both.
It's a big
So-
fluffy thing to,
Although it's not under this particular topic, I will just say, is there any scope to swap containers so you get a larger container?
well, I was thinking that, but we've got that all beautifully painted up.
It's a bigger one would be like great, but like, yeah, it's
They are expensive.
So just returning to,
But yes, I agree that the bit of looking at some additional storage.
yeah, it's like I said, more tools, because we've got a box full of like the gardening tools and stuff like that, and then like another box full of bulb planters, a box full of this, and it's like these haven't been used, like
It's crazy.
so many of them.
Whereas hooks, bill hooks would be get used.
Right, so basically you've got a lot of stuff that isn't really used,
No.
and you need other stuff that would be used, but you haven't got storage for it.
But I think when we add more stuff, with the volunteering stuff, it's not just one item, is it?
Yeah.
It's normally like 6 to 10 or something like that.
Is there any scope? Sorry, it's going slightly off topic here, but for the stuff that isn't used to be put in the shed up here?
Potentially, but then that shed would need to be sort of addressed and sort of. Go in that shed.
just bring us back to the actual
I just think
discussion regarding.
that is a very valid point. We can't buy tools if we have nowhere to store it.
And also, we shouldn't be buying tools unless we actually have a hedge laying workshop. So it's looking at funding to make sure that we actually get this done. I have proposed already to Sarah and Rebecca Fogarty that they might wish to put in a bit of money because it's their patch as city councillors, and they've kindly offered to put in £500 in terms of the funding.
So this is out of, for the match funding.
Yes.
So that's from city council, their city council.
Yeah, no. I'm just thinking we have 6 community councillors.
We also have 6 community councillors for West
Five.
Wales.
Sure, yeah.
Although I am aware that people have certain.
Of course, yeah.
However, I have, I myself am willing to put in 125 from my own councillor funds. I've approached David and
Yeah,
he'd be willing to match that. And I've approached Pam Erasmus and I would,
She's putting a lot of hers into the heart.
but
yeah.
she has also offered to put in 125 should she have funds.
Right, so but just really, but then there's not going to be a huge amount we need to.
No, we wanted it to be.
Sorry, I was speaking. Could I finish what I was saying, please?
Sorry, no, I'm just trying to get through it.
So I was also to approach. I would have approached Hannah, but obviously there's a vacancy at the moment. So my intention is to approach whoever takes.
Yes, of course.
For an additional £125. So that would bring us to the round total of 1,000, which would mean that perhaps the committee would only need to pick up the difference should there be a shortfall in match funding from the grant, or should there be additional costs.
Right. Okay. So February. So if we say that we look at this in say October, to finalise, by which time that will give Catherine time to get some actual costs, to tell us exactly how much match she would need. We would know how much has come from councillor budgets, and then we will have so if we could put this on the agenda for October.
It's at £1,000, but it's 1,500, isn't it?
1,000 to 1,500. We don't know the exact
I
amount.
was looking at the money donated, or
It's going to be the whole project's going to be £3,000 to £4,000.
Yes.
I wouldn't leave it as late as October. Catherine is already checking with Malcolm because it's quite a big job to get their stuff.
Is it to get the funding?
Other subcontractors are available.
No, but I'm just thinking in terms of actually getting.
Yes.
I was talking about the pledges so far.
Yes.
Is it 1,500 in pledges?
No.
No, there is 875 in pledges.
So it's 500 between Rebecca and the 500 is each.
No, it's 5 between them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, do you want to put it on September's?
Yes, that'd be
Yes.
Okay, so if we could put it to finalise costing, and then we'll know if we need to put anything forward to full council. We've got time to do that
Yes.
in October, full council, and still be able to get the money to
And if
Catherine.
I hear anything in between, bring it back to me.
And the only thing in addition to that I was going to say is that I would probably put this together as a budget proposal for next year, so that we can actually join in with the city and perhaps get some of the hedges around our area, being Males, West Cross, and potentially Mumbles.
I think that there is the occasional note of us down here.
Yeah, Mumbles.
It's only me.
But see, if it's going to be a community-wide venture,
It would, yeah.
then realistically, this is something that we've been able to pull out because of this particular interest.
But if we're looking at budget proposal, we're looking for a budget proposal across MC.
That would be for across MC.
So we'll leave that with you.
Yep.
For the October, November, I imagine is when Paul is expecting to have our budget proposals in, so that would be good.
Yep.
Fab. Right. B26 weeding schedule. This is something that we talked about when we were weeding on Monday, and said what we should have is a regular schedule. So I think the idea was to look at what would be a good day.
Well, presently Monday afternoons is good for me, but I mean, but it will be different for other people.
Yeah, but we've just got to.
Monday afternoon worked for me last week.
It worked for
In fact, preempting this, Rebecca and I went out yesterday afternoon and did a little bit of West Cross as well. And there's certainly,
So if we say Monday afternoons, 1:30 to 3:30, how often? Once a month?
I would have thought twice a month during the growth season would have been sensible. And obviously, males might want to make a different arrangement for themselves. Yeah.
Little bit stroke weeding on Sunday morning. She had her and Chris had about 3 or 4 dates.
Yeah.
So they've got that covered. But yes, they may want to include some extra. So, right, so where are we going to start this?
I think the next week is,
Are they doing any sort of like leaflet drops or anything about bee friendly streets?
Well, that's what we were just saying. The leaflets should be here somewhere because Rob got them
we
commissioned.
have 500 leaflets printed up, according to Rob. And what I was hoping to do was distribute these at pickup points throughout Males and West Cross, and then electronically share the leaflet via the school's own sort of electronic mail system,
Okay.
and then give it to a few parents who are interested or wherever events.
And we have in our pocket for so that when people come out,
We can
like they did
say
this week, and say, we can say, this tells you all about it. Please do come along to our next session.
Yeah, it's because I said, especially where I was growing up anyway, I lived in a council estate and people are sort of still done their outside of their house,
Yeah.
I know things changed now, but maybe you could have I don't know, a community champion type of things, people take, because when me and you went for that spin around West Cross, I couldn't believe how big West Cross was.
That is big.
Massive. And if unfortunately 2 days a week or 2 hours, it's just not going to make a dent.
But
It's good to show
don't
face.
forget that there is a Swansea Council quad team.
Yeah, but even them, they've got so many areas to do it.
And also, there's a lot of it we don't want to eat. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, we do not want to turn a folder. It's educating people. Look after your own street, but just pick up the ones that are in the way.
Yeah.
Don't pull up the little bits that are flowering along the edge because they are not doing any harm
Yeah.
and they're really doing good for bees. So I think that's the key message.
And I think we've been particularly cursed or blessed, depending on which side of the argument you are, as to the last 3 years, and the fact that the spraying hasn't occurred in West Cross now. You're actually really beginning to see the effects of how 3 years of not chemically treating wild flowers, be they wanted or unwanted, are. And as I said, there is a divide between people who want to see a tidy roadside and a tidy and everything, very neat and orderly, and those who actually enjoy seeing, wildflowers.
Yes.
Of course, it's a bit soul destroying that time we were weeding and that lady said, "Oh, I just spray up to you."
You think, oh no.
Although,
What is more interesting?
although she went on to clarify that she uses a vinegar and soap.
That sort of,
I think she saw our face.
rather than a
Right.
rather than a carcinogen that,
But the thing I found most interesting, our street, Overland Road, which is in the Mumbles Kill Everything zone, the weeds there are bigger than they are in West Cross.
Well, I have
So it's like living proof. Weed killers have no use at all.
so many
Look
people,
at what happens if you just let them
so many
grow naturally.
emails to Cyril saying, "Can you spray again? Because it hasn't done anything this time. So can you really spray it again?" All of carcinogens.
I'm suggesting then Monday the 14th of July. When is Rob back? He's back on the 7th. He was on for 2 weeks, I think, wasn't he?
Sure.
I'm hopeful that actually perhaps once we've got.
Yeah, he'll be back by then.
That's had it nice.
I would perhaps say that when we are doing our weeding, we do try and target those areas that people have actually pointed out.
Yes, of course. Yes.
That will also assessing those areas and deciding on whether it's going to be a full-on builder's bag or whether we can actually manage it with, smaller bags.
Well, if we have the dates, then we've got that timetable for that to be worked through. So if we say, starting from 14th of July, and if we say then the second and fourth Monday of each month,
I think we've got volunteer equipment
we have,
and,
of course, yeah, because we use it.
and, but if those of us who feel the urge to go out weeding,
In between, that's absolutely fine.
we can borrow that equipment and,
We are a litter picking hub. We are gardening, weeding hub as well.
weeding gorillas, are we?
No, we're more organised than that. But yes, we could be a weeding hub. We've got all the kit, it might as well get used.
There we go.
Okay, so that's the last item on the agenda is we're going to be doing second and fourth Monday of the month, starting on the 14th of July.
Fantastic.
Okay, job done. There we are.
So, 40.
7:50. No, it's not even that. That clock's a bit wrong.
I've